Welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely pumped you're joining me today because, wow, we are stepping into the dark woods of a truly terrifying modern folklore thriller. We're going to completely break down the spine-chilling tale of two best friends Anandi and Preksha and their fateful run-in with an entity known as the Virakas. We're going to see exactly how this lore takes a fun, everyday scenario, just a regular camping trip, and masterfully spirals it into an inescapable supernatural trap. And it uses every clue, every misdirection along the way to do it. It's brilliant, and honestly, pretty terrifying. Let's get into it.
Right, let's kick things off with this chilling, poetic prelude straight from our source material. Listen to this. Blood flowing in the scent of Mendi became a mark. It wasn't a river of water, but a desire filled with pain. Right out of the gate, we know the horror here isn't just some random monster jumping out from behind a tree. No, it's deeply rooted in tragedy, unfulfilled desire, and the traditional Indian bridal henna, Mendi. It perfectly sets this tone of something incredibly beautiful, yet filled with absolute dread.
Now, instead of just giving you a standard, dry overview of the plot, I want to use this cryptic warning from a local fruit seller as our thematic roadmap into the darkness. When Anandi and Preksha ask him for directions to a good camping spot in the forest, he drops this deeply unsettling line. Everything is there, and what shouldn't be there is also there. He points them straight ahead to a river, but then he adds this vital caveat, if you can reach it. I mean, come on, that's the exact moment you, as the audience, know these girls are doomed. Even as they nervously laugh it off and keep pedaling forward, you just know it's a terrible idea.
Which brings us right to Chapter 1, the modern versus the mythic.
You see, the true tension in this story completely relies on the collision of two very, very different worlds. Think about it. We start with the carefree, modern reality of the two girls. They're relying on GPS mapping on their phones, they're planning to eat cup noodles for dinner, riding bicycles, using modern flashlights. Totally normal stuff, right? But they are unknowingly pedaling straight into the cursed forest. And this place? It's governed by ancient bridal attire, the overpowering thick scent of Mendi, a literal river of blood, and, perhaps the most terrifying thing for anyone today, a total loss of cellular signal. They are literally pedaling away from logic and straight into a myth.
And of course, every dark legend has that one local who knows the secret of the woods, right? It's the classic harbinger trope. But here's the twist. The fruit seller doesn't actually warn them away. He literally gives them doomed directions. He tells them the river is exactly 3 kilometers away. But as we'll soon see, those directions aren't meant to guide them to safety. They are literal, step-by-step instructions for entering the trap.
Let's move on to Chapter 2, A Fatal Separation.
So as the sun goes down in this dense green forest, the girls slowly start to realize that their modern tools are completely failing them. They're hopelessly trapped. Anandi suddenly realizes they've been cycling for over half an hour, and by her calculation, based on their speed, they haven't traveled 3 kilometers. They've cycled 6. 6 kilometers! Yet there is absolutely no river in sight. The geography of the forest itself is literally warping around them to ensure they get lost, forcing them to stop as the darkness finally falls.
Just watch how rapidly their evening escalates from this fun, carefree camping trip to a desperate survival scenario. At dusk, the trap isolates them. Anandi pulls out her GPS tracker, only to find absolutely zero signal, lifeline cut. By nightfall, they are forced to set up camp in this dark, empty clearing surrounded by these massive, looming trees. And then at midnight comes the critical error, splitting up to find firewood so they can boil water for those cup noodles.
The entity, the Virakas, is executing an absolutely flawless trap here. Step 1, lure them in with the promise of a beautiful river. Step 2, disable their modern lifelines by killing the GPS signal. And Step 3, isolate the prey. Once Anandi realizes she forgot to bring hot water, a seemingly small, innocent mistake, she ventures deeper into the dark alone to find firewood, leaving Preksha behind at the camp. Boom! The trap has definitively snapped shut.
This takes us straight into Chapter 3, The Scent of Mendi. Okay, so while Anandi is alone out in the woods, she apparently finds the river, strips down, and gets in the water. Meanwhile, back at the camp, Preksha hears this sudden, piercing scream. Terrifying, right? But then moments later, Anandi just casually walks back into the camp, claiming everything is perfectly fine. But as Preksha follows her friend back toward the river, these massive red flags begin to pile up. First, Anandi is walking at an unnatural speed through the pitch-black forest. Second, she shows a total lack of fatigue, claiming, "Oh, you just don't get tired near the river."
Third, there's that heavy, totally unexplainable smell of Mendy suddenly hanging in the air. And finally, she starts muttering bizarrely about a lost girl who is now, quote, finally happy. The psychological dread building here is just palpable.
Which leads us to the climax. Chapter 4. The Bridal Curse.
The two girls finally reach the riverbank, but the water isn't inviting. It's deeply sluggish, dark, and black. And then the entire illusion just shatters completely. Priksha spots Anandi's actual jacket abandoned on a rock in the water. That beautiful river? It's actually a nightmare. The friend returning safely? Yeah, no, that was the entity, Varikas, in disguise the entire time. As this fake Anandi steps out of the shadows, her modern clothes are completely gone. She is now wearing a full bridal lenga, adorned with bangles and heavy jewelry, and her face morphs into that of a terrifying dead girl.
So, we really need to define the terrifying entity they are actually facing here. This is Virix. According to the lore from our source, her wedding procession tragically fell into a gorge centuries ago. Now, she acts as this vengeful spirit with a highly specific, totally twisted motivation. She actually tells Praksha that she didn't kill Anandi. No, she made her immortal. You see, she traps young women so they will never grow old, never face betrayal, and remain forever unmarried. Why? Because she's forcing them to serve as bridesmaids in her eternal, cursed bridal party.
And here is how the ultimate trap officially closes. Preksha looks across the river and sees the real Anandi, appearing as a crying ghost in bridal clothes, just slowly fading away. In a complete, desperate bid for survival, Preksha jumps into the dark water, thinking she can swim to the other side and escape. But as she swims, countless hands reach up from the depths to grab her. She realizes with pure horror that the water isn't black, it's thick, and it's red. It's the blood of all the missing girls who came before them. Viricus rises from the water, grabs her shoulder, and declares that today, her palanquin will finally be lifted.
And finally, Chapter 5, The Endless Cycle.
You know, folklore isn't just about a single jump scare. It's about the enduring nature of a warning. The story transitions to the eerie aftermath the very next morning. And the absolute crucial takeaway here is how the exact same trap just seamlessly resets itself. Two new girls arrive on bicycles at the edge of the forest. They walk up to the exact same fruit seller and ask for directions. And he gives them the identical, chilling instruction: go straight, and at 3 kilometers you will find a nice river. It will be fun. The cycle of the Viricus continues, completely uninterrupted.
Which leaves us all with this final, haunting question. Who will ride down the cursed path next? This story is such a brilliant reminder of exactly why folklore endures the way it does. It preys on our modern confidence, our GPS, our gear, and reminds us that some ancient traps are always out there, waiting in the dark, just 3 kilometers away. Thank you so much for joining me as we unraveled the curse of the Viricus today. Keep your maps updated and, honestly, maybe just stay out of the woods. See you next time.